Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. This is Crypto Wealth, and if you're a longtime subscriber, you know that I love cryptocurrency. I believe in this technology, and I believe this technology is going to change the future. However, right now we're in the midst of an enormous crypto crash. Normally I do cryptocurrency news. This is going to be like cryptocurrency crash news or something. I want to talk about what's going on with Blockfi, Celsius, and Voyager. I think these three services may be just about finished. And what I mean by that is I think it's possible they're getting bailouts left, right, and center, so we may see them continue to pay. But I think it's going to be good for crypto if we see these platforms all become far less popular. And I actually think there's a possibility that we could see some government regulations that could make them either illegal or make it very difficult to operate as a business, and therefore overall there could be a lot less companies serving this space. Now, if we talk about Celsius, Blockfi, and Voyager, if you're not familiar with these companies, we're talking about these companies that basically allow you to earn APR, a rate of return, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10% annually right now. A lot of people are calling these companies crypto scams, and you may call them a scam for a lot of reasons. They haven't been able to live up to their proposed business model, but I don't think they're in a scam in the fact of they're a true Ponzi scheme or Ponzi scam where they're taking money from previous investors to pay old investors. I don't think that's necessarily happening because the returns are just not high enough for that to be an issue. 5, 6, 7, 8, 10%. They haven't even been in business, most of them, for more than 2 years yet. However, this is the first real bear market cycle we've watched most of them go through, and we can realize there's some major mismanagement going on. This all started off with Celsius, and Celsius is basically Celsius.network. If you were to go to Google right now, put in Celsius crypto, you're going to see these three headlines right now. And I think this is interesting. Crypto community confused as Celsius continues their weekly rewards. So they're still paying out weekly rewards, kind of. You can't withdraw them, but you can see them on your dashboard. Listen, I personally find that to be incredibly sketchy. That is something that an illegal Ponzi scam would actually do. Now, these companies are saying they're in a liquidity crisis. We'll talk about that in a moment because I hate that term and I think it's ridiculous, and it doesn't negate the fact of they clearly have some poor management going on. Goldman Sachs paves the way for investors to buy Celsius stock at a discount. Goldman is about to possibly bail out Celsius, but of course they're going to end up owning a big part of Celsius. I don't know if that's good for crypto. In fact, I don't think it is good for crypto. Many of you know that I believed in decentralization. I don't like to see these large financial companies all up in the crypto space. Celsius clashes with lawyers over Chapter 11 bankruptcy report. This is really interesting. Celsius is trying to, listen, Celsius crashes with lawyers over Chapter 11 bankruptcy reports. Celsius execs believe that most users would prefer the troubled cryptocurrency lender avoid the uphill task of bankruptcy. That is probably correct because if they go into bankruptcy, most investors aren't going to get anything back. You'll get pennies on the dollar, if anything ever. The average investor, the average normal individual user who goes into Celsius, like, you are legally entitled to assets should they become bankrupt, but you're literally the last creditor in line, meaning all the big law firms and the government and certain private investors, they're all going to go in front of the average investor. So when it says the Celsius execs believes most users would prefer the troubled cryptocurrency lender avoid the uphill task of bankruptcy, I think it's better said that they just would like to get their money back, and if the company goes bankrupt, then they're probably not going to get their funds back. But look at this. Celsius reportedly wants users to activate HODL mode to win an argument with lawyers. HODL mode, meaning they want you to say, hey, we want you to lock up your funds permanently for a given length of time. And once you do that, you're basically saying, hey, I can't withdraw my funds right now. So that is a debt obligation. That is a payment that Celsius would not need to make to you. And the reason that you would want to do this, their argument is to help them remain solvent, essentially, to lock up liquidity, meaning they're not required to withdraw or honor your withdrawal request because you're going to lock up into HODL mode. I think this is absolutely horrible. And I think the only reason that any cryptocurrency investor should really want to do that at this point in time is to potentially prevent bankruptcy. And it's really just a last-ditch effort. Listen, are you really in good faith wanting to see Celsius succeed if your only alternative is that you don't get your money back? And there are people with hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in there worth of crypto. So I don't know that Celsius actually wins this argument. I think this is just investors being put into between a rock and a hard spot, and I don't think it's very helpful. But by the way, Voyager and Celsius, I mean Blockfi, they're just the beginning. We got companies like Babble Finance. They reach a debt agreement with counterparties after a withdrawal freeze. These companies with freezing withdrawals. This is so anti-crypto. It's crazy. Babble's the company will continue to communicate with shareholders as it looks to obtain liquidity support, meaning we have debts we can't pay. The debts are probably to the very same people that we've loaned money to, but we can't make our payment back. Let me ask you something. This is so ridiculous. If you could not make your mortgage payment, are they going to allow you to claim that you have a liquidity crisis and that just give you more time, just give you more time? No. I mean, no matter whether you call it a liquidity crisis or not, the company's not able to meet their obligations. Since when reputable companies stop withdrawals? I can tell you when they're in financial trouble because of poor management. And all these companies are getting run by what is essentially people with 10-year-old childlike mentalities. Like the risk management is so ridiculously poor, it is unbelievable. Listen, they've imposed a $1,500 per month withdrawal limit, citing unusual liquidity pressures, meaning more people want money back and we can't give it to them. Now, following an emergency assessment of operations, the company said short-term liquidity pressure has eased. We've actively communicated with shareholders and potential investors and will continue to communicate and obtain liquidity support, meaning we will look for bailouts. We will look for people to loan us money. At the end of 2021, Babble Finance had an outstanding loan balance of over $3 billion, up from $2 billion the previous February. The company just last month raised $80 million in Series B last month at a valuation of $2 billion. That's just absolutely crazy. So Babble's in trouble. They're not the only one. CoinFlex, Roger Ver owes CoinFlex $47 million. This is crazy. Supposedly, they've loaned Roger Ver money. Roger Ver saying he didn't make the loan. It's gotten public on Twitter, I guess. The CEO's like, hey, look, we actually have a contract with your signature. Obviously, we gave you a loan. My question is, why in the world would one company give such a large loan to a single individual? Why? Especially somebody who's clearly a cryptocurrency investor who's probably going to speculate on the price of crypto. So you're not diversifying your risk, you're only amplifying your risk if you're CoinFlex. Why in the world would you loan Roger Ver $47 million? Meaning you've loaned him $47 million that you need to cover debt obligations. It just makes no sense to me. And then you got to remember in this space, ladies and gentlemen, not your keys, not your crypto. I feel horrible for people who went into Celsius or went into Blockfi, went into Voyager, and thinking that it was a safe long-term investment, which is the way that it was presented. And these companies were supposed to be taking your funds, giving out loans, and paying you an interest smaller than the amount they were lending, than the interest rate they were earning from lenders. But then they end up in a liquidity crisis where they basically loan out too much money and they can't honor withdrawals. And I may do a whole video on this. I don't think enough people understand what they mean when they say liquidity crisis. But then there's also Hodlnaut. Hodlnaut supposedly stopped withdrawals, but now they're saying that they've resumed withdrawals. Now, they're saying we don't have any exposure to Three Arrows Capital or Celsius Network. But I'm sitting here wondering, like, well, what in the world happened? Why did you halt withdrawals? Where are your funds? Where's your debt obligations? I mean, unfortunately, in these centralized companies, there's no transparency, ladies and gentlemen, so you don't really know what they're doing or what they're up to. Now, I'm going to share with you, because I think that all of this is just one of 2 or 3 reasons we're about to have an enormous crypto crash. I personally, you heard it here first, I think crypto is going lower. I don't say that as a good thing. I just say that to any of my subscribers, you just want to be aware of the possibility. I can't give you financial advice, but I can make my own observation. You can listen to my observation. You can do your own research. I'm going to do a video detailing this a little bit more probably tomorrow or later today, but there is a possibility that we see crypto go much, much lower. I think we could go below 10,000. Believe it or not, even below 5,000. I believe we could see one of our strongest crypto crashes to date incoming. Now, with that being said, I invest, I invest being aware of it. Like, I'm still a cryptocurrency buyer. I'll discuss that a little bit later in the video. I'll discuss kind of my strategy. in investing in a bear market. But I want to point out something else about Voyager. I was talking about how Voyager was in trouble. Voyager and Blockfi. Voyager, this is crazy. They actually gave a $500 million loan to Three Arrows Capital. So Babble's bad enough. They gave $47 million to Roger Ver, but we got Voyager over here giving out a $500 million loan to Three Arrows Capital. And if you don't know who Three Arrows Capital is, this is the hedge fund, the cryptocurrency hedge fund that just went bankrupt. So you have to ask yourself, who thought that was a good idea? Who in the world thought it was a good idea at Voyager to pay out $500 million to a hedge fund that was clearly, not diversified? It was a cryptocurrency hedge fund. And again, ladies and gentlemen, if you can make independent decisions about investing, and I encourage all of my viewers and subscribers to be able to think independently, most of you can use better money management, risk management than these companies. Most of you would have never loaned out that large of a percentage of your balance sheet. They had like what, probably $2 or $3 billion in their balance sheet, maybe. But $500,000 goes to one hedge fund. Who do they think was running this hedge fund? Some sort of psychic, crypto savant with a crystal ball that could predict the future? Hedge funds have horrible track records on average. Most hedge funds do not consistently beat the market, by the way. So who did the CEO and the executives at Voyager think they were where do they think they were putting their money? I mean, it's just, if you think about it for a moment, it's like, wasn't that $500 million better spent just holding it or using it to cover withdrawals or to make loans with it? Because you trying to get risky and degen with your investors' money is the exact opposite of what you should have been doing. You told everybody it was a safe investment. Investing in a risky hedge fund that had the potential of going bankrupt is not a safe investment. But sorry, I digress. Bitcoin billionaire Sam Bankman-Fried bails out embattled crypto firms BlockFi and Voyager. This is very interesting, and I kind of have a love-hate relationship with this headline. If you don't know who Sam Bankman-Fried is, he's the CEO of FTX. FTX is quickly becoming one of the biggest US-facing cryptocurrency exchanges by far. He's an incredible entrepreneur. He was truly an early adopter in crypto, but I'm not so certain that I like seeing the amount of, I guess you could say, centralized finance or centralized money, or really just consolidation of the billionaire class, so to speak. I don't have a problem with someone being a billionaire. I don't have any concerns with that. But I have a problem when I'm starting to see a bunch of centralization, meaning the business models were already centralized, but now you basically got one major entrepreneur who's most likely going to have a minor or major interest, possibly controlling interest, into BlockFi and or Voyager. I'm not certain that's helpful. Sam Blankman already has FTX. He's also, I believe, the owner of the Alameda Research, or at least a major shareholder of the Alameda Research. So those are already two enormously big companies. By the way, if you don't know who Sam Blankman is, I recommend that you go watch this video. It's an incredible video how Sam Bankman-Fried made $10 billion by the age of 28. I'll link it above. I'll put a link in the description. Like, literally an incredible, incredible interview. It's about an hour long, but it's worth grabbing some popcorn, grabbing something to drink, sitting down and watching this interview. It's just absolutely fascinating. At 28 years of age, he had made $10 billion. It's insane. So listen, believing that we are going to be in a bear market, and I believe we're potentially going to have a much deeper bear market. Not financial advice, just my observation. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a cryptocurrency enthusiast. I'm right now investing, and I'm really watching three things. Fundamentally, what I'm doing is I'm investing in what I consider primary assets, meaning no matter what, the market goes up or down, if the market crashes completely, what are the type of crypto assets that I'm looking for? So for me, it's like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and any other asset that I believe long-term, no matter what, if there's a handful of cryptocurrencies that are going to survive, these are the ones that are going to survive. I am not holding cash right now. Absolutely, I'm not just holding cash. I think now, for me personally, I'm a buyer, understanding that the market could drop much further from here. I mean, we may see a 75% drop from here. I'm literally thinking that we could see Bitcoin go down to $5,000 or lower. I'm going to do a whole video later explaining why. So if you want to watch that video, be sure you subscribe to the channel, click the bell notification icon, and click all. But on top of investing in primary assets, the other thing that I'm doing is I'm focusing on investing in passive income. There's three major vehicles, and I haven't actually covered all three of these combined on my channel, but there's three different, what I consider, one is trading, right? My trading account, that's going to make money theoretically long term no matter what the market does. I also have my free video course, right, where I'm talking about investing in gaming crypto assets that are paying out a passive income. And I combine that with some of what I have in my free, which I'm going to totally revamp this newsletter in the future. But there's three income streams in particular here that are still pretty solid, and I'm actually working to grow them right now as we speak. So, and all three of those, so keep in mind, for me personally, I'm just building up two things. I'm building up my primary crypto holdings that I think are, I want to hold no matter what for the future. And then three income streams that aren't going to just be diluted like yield farming, for example. Three income streams that are going to be able to continue to produce a passive income for many years to come. And I'll be discussing that more on this channel, so stay tuned for that. But ladies and gentlemen, today I've been talking to you about crypto news, crypto crash news. I think it's important when we see everyone from Babble Finance, CoinFlex, Voyager, Three Arrows Capital, Blockfi, Celsius, all these companies are crypto companies that are going under, running into issues of all sorts, becoming insolvent, seeking bankruptcy protection or seeking bailouts. I think we have to be careful in crypto. And I believe ultimately we've got some incredible, I don't think, by the way, I don't think this is the worst news. I think the very worst news is still to come. I will share that with a future video, but because I believe that there's going to be worse news coming, I think we just have to be careful. Now, you may say, why are you a buyer in this space? Because I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know if the market's going to go down truly to 15,000 or 10,000 or 5,000 or what, but I believe that we have the opportunity, the unfortunate opportunity, to potentially have a perfect storm of black swan events that could truly decimate the price of crypto. So ladies and gentlemen, as my viewer, I just encourage you, please be careful, diversify your risk, and please have better risk management than these companies loaning out millions of dollars to a single individual or a single entity. Take care of yourself, be safe out there. Crypto is extraordinary, but it really is a wild, wild west. Decentralized crypto equals freedom. This is Crypto Wealth. I'm out.